Yo, hey, wait.
Whoa.
Yo, what's up?
Hi. Fuck, I
When
was
when
not
when
expected to get
when
dragged
when
in
was
this
yeah when
randomly.
was yeah when was the last time you were on stream? I'm pretty sure you were on stream before, actually.
Yeah, probably like the beginning of 2023, end of 2022, maybe, when you were doing your lolly stuff. I was steel manning you.
Okay, based. Yeah. What's up? What's up?
But I've been watching this Hutch thing, and I guess I wanted to debate brain you to, I guess,
Yeah,
make you
sure.
stronger on this position.
Okay.
'Cause I think you're squandering on your opportunity when you're talking to these people. I feel like you let this conversation go on a little too long
Mm-hmm.
before you like honed on in what you were truly trying to get behind. We're really in like truly like liberally illiberal like times right now where the like court systems and such are getting used in such a way
Mm-hmm.
that it's beneficial to one party, and then once our party gets into power, we're not able to use the same powers because we're expected to uh be held to a higher accountability. I don't think we can do that in this case.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that Trump won the popular vote and won like the presidency despite all the things that he's like accused of and has done and has been convicted of under court. But I think past this presidency or during this presidency, we have been shown that the Republican Party doesn't really care about our court system or the way our Constitution works. They have repeatedly went around our Constitution and have like lied to the American people constantly. And I think
Sure.
that it is justified for the Democratic Party to act in a way that is liberally illiberal to where we're able
Well,
to.
well, well, well. Hutch's counter to that is like that's a slippery slope, right? Like he's doing the slippery slope thing, whereas like the moment that you tap into the power of the fear ring or whatever for the yellow lanterns or some shit, the moment you become like consumed by its power, and then you won't be able to resist, and then you're gonna turn to a fascist dictatorship. Like that would be his point, right?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I understand. I think in normal circumstances that would be something to like really like hone in on and think about. But in this case, we have our
Fucking
government
messed up.
killing United States citizens and lying about them being domestic terrorists to justify it. So regardless of how I personally feel about the slippery slope fallacy and stuff like that,
Mhm.
um, we can't come back from a point in time where we are allowing our government to kill people who are United States citizens and say that they are domestic terrorists with no credibility behind those statements whatsoever. It could happen to any of us at any time, and for an administration to leave power and then walk away thinking they can just get away with it scot-free, it probably sets a worse standard than actually leaning into the liberal standard.
Okay, if I was Hutch, I would probably argue like I don't know why you are talking like this, because as far as I'm concerned, the Republicans are losing. Trump's popularity is down. He is down in the dumps. And come next election, we will destroy them. Their reign of terror, they are acting illiberally, but it will not last long. And you shouldn't be risking illiberal actions in order to fight Trump when it's clear that liberal actions still work, right? That's what he would say. What would you say to that?
I would say that that's largely irrelevant because we pretty much thought that Trump and them were going to lose given how they were campaigning. They were saying, don't vote for me. I don't need your votes. Or they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. And just there was a whole bunch of different examples of Trump being ill fit to be president. But it still happened because people, whether they thought he was funny or they just didn't really know too much about what was going on, they still voted for him. But now is the time that we're supposed to be able to capitalize on this. People are unable to escape the lifestyle that he's putting our citizens into. People are getting kidnapped. People are getting killed. People are verifiably being able to see that they're lying about these things. And when they're asked about things like Epstein, which they ran on, they're talking about the fucking Dow being over 50,000. So, like, it feels largely irrelevant to care about the optics of, well, we're going to, we might like lose optics with
I would imagine Hutch, like he doesn't just care about the optics, right? Like he's saying that, oh yeah, the entire thing is a slippery slope, right? Oh, the entire thing is like a fast track to a liberal version of fascism, right? Like that's what he would argue. He would say that it's not worth the risk to do it, right?
No, we need to take this risk. I don't think that we get to a better future without taking risks. Like, it's impossible. Like, the destruction and the harm that they've caused to so many people is just irreparable and just immeasurable, to the point that, like, if we don't take certain risks, we risk things getting even worse than they already are, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would just straight up agree with you. But yeah, that was pretty much the argument that I was trying to make during the debate.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I figure you were trying to make a similar argument. I think that like Hutch was able to like lead you around for long enough to where it kind of felt like you were losing where you were trying to get at. I think if you want to make these arguments, you have to like hone in on making everything else kind of like irrelevant, in my opinion. Like, if you're going to rationalize endless cruelty to where we get into office and everything that we potentially could do is unfathomable, then it just seems like this liberal framework isn't going to work. I don't even know if I like consider myself a liberal. I don't know where I place myself on like the left-wing framework, but like I do put myself between
so where do you think that I could have done better? Like, where do you think that that my argument, like which point do you think that I should have repeated or like stayed on or something?
How are we supposed to take care of a government entity that has gone around our constitutional protections without potentially going around the Constitution to hold them accountable? I would assume you would have to ask similar questions like that, because like it is an important thing to talk about. They have gone around so many different areas of our Constitution to where it's like unfathomable for us to hold them accountable in the way that we would want them to without us potentially breaking our Constitution.
Sure. But I feel like Hutch would just like automatically like go back to, okay, well, this is a slippery slope, this is a slippery slope, this is slippery, it's not worth it, it's not worth it, it's not worth it, right? Like there's no getting around that, right? Because at the end of the day, like that is just, it's kind of like, it's almost as if like we're both making a guess, right? Like I'm making a guess saying it's worth the risk in order to make sure that they never win again or whatever the fuck, right? Or sorry, not like not win again, but more like, well, we need some way to correct the narrative, right? And the way to correct the narrative is there has to be some illiberal way to do it, right? Because you can't just rely solely on the DOJ to prosecute, because what if they don't, right? Because what if they don't?
Yeah, exactly.
So it would be a better idea to use some illiberal method, like having the president direct the DOJ in a certain direction, as like, okay, I am doing this on purpose, right? And then we're going to do an investigation that way. That is illiberal. That is risky. Okay, I'm not going to deny that, but we are living in illiberal times, so we need illiberal methods. If you use liberal methods during illiberal times, you're at a disadvantage, right?
Yes. Yes. I think if people are electing like someone like Gavin Newsom, they already know that Gavin Newsom is coming in to like wreak havoc on Republican assholes. So like it kind of feels to me in a way like I shouldn't even really be thinking about that. I'm really thinking about like the immediate harm that we are facing and what we should be showing we are willing to do to hold future administrations account for going.
One thing I really did not like him saying, okay, was when he said he said that it took like 100 years to get the the Jim Crow laws repealed or some shit like that. He's had something similar to that. And I remember like actually like getting pissed at that, just mainly because it's like there's a lot of people that can't wait that long, right? Like inside of that like 100 years or whatever the fuck, right? Like how many people would have died before the changes can finally be
Yeah.
made to catch up, right? Like you're saying that as if that's such a great point, but in my opinion, like that's just, I don't know, like you're the one essentially making the the higher sacrifice, right, in the name of liberalism. And at that point, like you kind of have to understand that liberalism really is not the answer to everything, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like in my opinion, I guess if I were to like give a comparison, it's kind of what like Hassan kind of preaches to his audience in a way. It's like, oh, well, we're going to fix this thing eventually, so there's kind of no point of doing something about it right now because it'll eventually get fixed if we follow things the right way. Like, no, sorry, some things just don't work the way that we want to work. We want it to work. Hassan, people who like follow Hassan need to capitulate on their long-term goals and long-term ideals to protect the people around them that they supposedly care about. Because me and you, we're trans. I'm scared. I live in a blue state, but at the same time, I'm scared because we're getting labeled as domestic terrorists and they're spreading misinformation about trans shooters in X, Y, and Z, and it's scary. Like we don't have all the time in the world that we have.
You live in the UK, you just said?
No, I live in the
Okay,
U.S. I live
okay.
in a blue
I
state.
thought you said something else. Okay, sorry, my bad.
No,
Yeah,
I live in a blue state, but like I'm still scared because like like we don't. Not everybody has like all the time in the world to wait. People are getting kidnapped right now. We're watching people get killed on camera right now, and the government's lying about it. We can't wait.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know, but then you kind of have to. That's another point that I try to communicate across in the debate, right? Just mainly because, I remember saying something like, well, it's kind of crazy that you're the one saying that because it's very clear that you're in a privileged position, right? We can't afford to be in your position, aka white cis het whatever. And I'm somebody who does not weaponize my my gender identity very often. I don't. I really do not weaponize my gender identity often at all, right? Compared to other like trans creators or whatever, like I don't do it because I think it's cringe as fuck. But I think it is like extremely relevant to that specific case because you're like the two groups of people that they're after the most right now are brown immigrants and trans people, right? These two, right? So the two people that's going to be affected by heinous policies are going to be these two groups of people, right? So how could you sit here and tell me to calm down, everything is going to be all right, like don't take risky moves when we are already living in a time where there are like trans people are removed from the military, like they try to blow up trans sports into every single possible subject. Brown immigrants are being kidnapped and then sent to El Salvador, right? I guess like for me, like these points still appear to be good to me, but I just need to find out an effective way to communicate it without him essentially reverting back to slippery slope fallacy, right? So like that is my concern, is because also I don't know if he also does this, but like it feels like a No True Scotsman as well, because No True Scotsman is like, I don't know if there's a No True Scotsman, basically like, oh well, there's no such thing as a true liberal democracy, or there's no such thing as a true like illiberal democracy or something like that, right? Because even communist governments have markets. Like even communist governments have capitalistic qualities inside of their country. So would you say that it's no longer a communist country anymore just because some retail store sells things, I think that's silly, right? You would still say it's a communist government with communist rules, but it seems as though that, according to Hutch's framework, the moment that you veer off the liberal path, it is automatically you're sliding down this slope to fascism, essentially, which that makes no sense to me, because you can be primarily one framework or one model and then have qualities or traits of another model easily, right? But it feels like he wants to adhere to this pure form of liberalism, which I just personally do not get. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
You were spitting in the beginning of the discussion when you were talking about like people need to be afraid of like losing public opinion on certain things. I think it's incredibly worthwhile for the next like Democrat presidential candidate to like just straight up say like, yeah, I think that I'm sick of seeing American citizens be attacked by our government. I want to hold the people who have done it account, and it needs to be done regardless of how people feel about it, and just that needs to be done. I think it needs to be done to make people feel safe and feel at least more trusting of their government than they are right now.
Hutch would just say that's illiberal, right? Like that's
Yeah,
basically his ad hom attack. Well, his go-to conversation ender, right? Like he would say, "Oh, that's illiberal," and then he would just move on, right?
yeah, but that's where the conversation ends, in my opinion.
But I feel like you have to stop him from doing that, because you're not gonna have like a productive conversation if he just calls everything illiberal, right? Or like as a conversation ender, right? It's not very productive if you go like, oh well, that's it's illiberal, and then it's like, so it's bad because it's not liberal. Yes, it's like,
It's
okay,
kind of like the
damn.
reverse of people just endlessly rationalizing things that Trump does. Like
And
people don't actually believe what
mm,
they're saying, but like at the same time, like it sounds correct and it is the correct thing to think about typically. But when you really know what is going behind these, like what's going on behind the scenes and what these people are doing, it's kind of hard to give them that level of benefit of the doubt. And yeah, the Hutch and people like that shouldn't be able to like endlessly rationalize reasons why you shouldn't do anything that veers off the typical path.
yeah,
I think it's
I know, I
incredibly
know that
disruptive.
I know that you came in here trying to give me advice, but we just kind of ended up circle jerking about how Hutch's opinion is wrong. But yeah, but I do
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
I appreciate it. I'm glad I was able to talk to you about this stuff. Thank you for having me
yeah,
on.
of course. Thank you so much. All right, bye.
All right, bye.
Uh-oh.